Page 10, Shenandoah. I have a few things to say here. Just a few. It's a short piece. How much can I say, right? Take a look at the first line. Now you have a pickup measure. Okay, never mind that. The first full measure in the right hand. All those eighth notes. Okay. I would recommend, rather than using the thumb on all three C's, to do a 1-2-1. You can use the thumb on all three C's if you want, but again, it helps you out later on if you start trying to get this fingering down now. Okay. Then there's a fermata over the third C. Well, I'm going to add that. I'm just going to hold it one full beat extra. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that measure will have 4 counts instead of 3 because of the fermata, right? Then going into the next measure, you got to reach up with your little finger to get the A. Right? So just so you're aware of it. Then you got to move your hand up to get the C. Good grief. Okay, just be aware of the fingering here. Their fingering is fine. Look at the last 3 notes on the second line. In the right hand, you have 3/8 notes. But then going into the third line, you got to cross over to put the second finger on the D. As long as you're aware that's happening, it should be fine. There's a fermata at the end. I'll hold it 2 counts instead of 1. Not a problem. The left hand just has these chords. And then you have an F chord in the second line, F chord. And then an E minor chord. And then the last measure of the second line, you got to come way up here to get the A minor chord. It's an A minor chord. Right. Then you back down. Not a problem. I'm sure you can get all those chords. Melodies in the right hand, except for the pickup note. That's melody. The left hand plays it. It's kind of tricky because you're playing a G there and then you got a G in the chord. You got to play it again. So in order to do that, you got to cut the first G short. But you don't want to cut it short because it's connected. It's melody. It's got to. So along comes the pedal. The pedal does it for you. It connects them. There's a fermata in the left hand on that dotted half note. You see it there? But that's just so the left hand stays with the right. The right hand is controlling the rhythm here. The left hand is just going to stay down for the measure, however long it takes. So if there's 4 beats in that measure, then that dotted half note is going to get 4 beats in this case, because it's going to stay down for as long as it takes the right hand to play that measure, wherever it happens. Okay. The fermata in the last measure of the second line is the same thing. I'm going to add 1 extra beat, so there'll be 4 beats on that. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now I want to talk about pedaling, because you were my student in front of me, all right, and I assigned you this and you were going to do it, I would change this pedaling. And so that's what I'm going to tell you. I suggest you take a pencil and change this pedaling. You can pedal it the way they do, but I think it's mushy. This is a real pretty piece, but mushiness doesn't cut it. If you look at the first line, they have it pretty close, because you're pushing the pedal down immediately. That's fine because you need it to connect the G and the C. Then they want you to lift the pedal when you play the D in the right hand, the last 3/8 notes. When you play that D, lift the pedal, keep the left hand down so we don't mush up those notes. Yeah, no. Then you'll push it down right after you play the first notes in the next measure. Well, I disagree with that because I don't want to mess up these notes. I don't want them both sounding. This is supposed to be a pretty piece. Doesn't fit, okay? So I would recommend you push the pedal down right after you play the G in the right hand on that measure. And then you can push it down, okay? That way you still got the pedal down, but you don't have that mushiness. Then I recommend you lift the pedal up with the left hand right before you play the C. It's a new phrase, okay? And we want a little bit of silence, and we don't need the pedal for those notes. That's mushy. We don't want that in this piece. It doesn't work. So in the last measure, the first line, you're here. You lift the pedal up. Actually, you lift it up with both hands. Both hands have to come up because you have to change positions in the right hand anyway. And those two eighth notes are by themselves. No pedal, no nothing. Then when you get to the next line, you can push it down after you play the notes, right? Now, in the second line, first measure, I recommend you lift the pedal up as you play the third beat. That is, lift the pedal up with the left hand. You don't need the pedal down through those eighth notes. I mean, the first eighth note we can live with, but the other two, no. No. So you're here. Now, in the second measure, you can live with the pedal down there on both of those because harmony like type, they sound okay. We can. That's not mushy. It's not like. But then lift the pedal up when you play the third beat. Now there's a fermata there, so you're going to hold an extra beat. But when you play that last note in the right hand on that second measure in the second line, lift the pedal up right before you play it, so we get a break in the phrase. And you don't need the pedal for that G, because you're going to an A. If you push the pedal down here, well, they tell you to switch it, but don't. Just lift the pedal up. So we get a break in the phrase. Then in the last measure of the second line, I recommend you lift the pedal up with the left hand. So those last three eighth notes are by themselves. Okay? Third line. Push the pedal down after you play the C in the right hand, so we don't get a mushiness. Then lift it up with the left hand right before the phrase. We want some silence. Okay? In the second measure, third line, lift it up with the left hand. The pedal, lift the pedal. So those three eighth notes are by themselves. We don't need pedal for those. Then the last line, first measure, lift the pedal up right before the phrase. And then in the last two measures, the pedal, you can legato pedal that. So it's down, 2, 3. Right after I play these, here, and then again here. Okay, and then at the end, the pedal and the hands all come up at the same time. Because I think that pedaling is a lot cleaner than all the mushiness they're recommending in here. I don't like this at all. You play it this way if you want, but I don't recommend it. And I ain't gonna play it that way. Let's try this together. It has a 1 beat pickup, so I'll give us 2 counts, and we're gonna play it together slowly. It's a slow piece anyway. Oh. Your C position to start, foot's on the pedal. Here we go. Ready, go.